Have you ever wanted to hang out at Disneyland after closing? Well, you kind of can. At themed parties with exclusive entertainment, dining, character meetups, and more, Disneyland After Dark brings new magic to the night.
You're listening to Castle Talk Radio. We're live on the airwaves with Becca and Jessica. Now let's jump into this week's episode.
Today, we are shining a spotlight on Disneyland After Dark, the exclusive after-hours events that let you step into a completely reimagined Disneyland experience. We're going to share everything you need to know from the themed nights that are being offered and the unique perks that make these events so magical. So let's get started, Jessica.
Yes, this year we have plenty of After Dark events, and they're all at Disneyland Park. So sometimes they're hosted at both parks, but this year only Disneyland Park. So we have Sweethearts Night. That is going to be 8 different nights in January and February. We have 90s Night, and that's new for 2025. That is 2 nights in March. We have Star Wars Night, 8 nights in April and May. And then we have Pride Night for 2 nights in June.
Yeah, in addition to those, I also want to mention that you said how these are at Disneyland. There are 2 other after-hours events that aren't technically in the After Dark category, and those do take place at California Adventure, and that's Grad Nights in May and June, and Oogie Boogie Bash, which starts in August and has September and October. And both of those take place over at California Adventure. We'll be talking about Oogie Boogie Bash in a separate episode later on this year, so we're not going to cover that or Grad Nights in this episode.
Yeah, right. For today, we're sticking to the 4 events, and that is a total of 20 different nights in January through June. So if you're going to Disneyland on one of those nights and not doing the party, that's a common question we get is like, I'm going on one of those nights, I'm not doing the party. Should I still bother going to Disneyland? I think Becca and I agree that we say absolutely, because people tend to avoid the park on a night of a party, and they often use the terms, we're getting kicked out. We're getting kicked out early. We like to use the terms that you're not getting kicked out, that the park hours just close at 8 p.m. It's usually 8 or 9, something like that. And traditionally, on those nights in the winter, the parks would close at that time anyways. So you're not getting the short end of the stick per se. You're still getting the maximum hours, especially if you rope drop. And if you listened to Castle Talk Radio, we strongly suggest that you do rope drop in the morning. And then if you've purchased a park hopper ticket, you might have a little bit more time over at California Adventure. But you'll be there during some of the mix-in hours, which means that the party guests can come in while you're still there. And then during the hours where they are, maybe you can consider them kicking you out. They're going to ask you for those wristbands where they are feeding you towards Main Street to get you to make your final purchases and things and wrap up your day. So that's kind of how it works, but we still think it's a great thing to do and to go. Don't you agree?
Yes, don't skip out on. In fact, I've often said for years and years, and I know you have too, Jessica, go to that park that day. Like you said, people will, if people are still going, they'll often opt to go to California Adventure that day instead because they feel that it's the better deal, and it makes Disneyland's wait times much, much shorter, and you can get so much done.
Yeah, so we suggest that. And Becca, let's go back to the After Dark category here. So as we talk about these and the ones that are offered this year, if you had your pick of a free After Dark like party ticket package for you and some friends or your family, which one of these that we talked about would you want to go to? So we have Sweethearts, 90s, Star Wars, and Pride Night. So I want to know just which freebie. I'm throwing those freebies at you.
Oh
which
my
one
gosh,
would you want to go to? Why?
I could pick between 2 of them because I want to do both. So, and both of these would be with friends. Like because I don't want to deal with my kids that late at night. Okay.
Exactly.
Cranky. But 90s night, that would be so fun for like people our age to go back and kind of relive our teen
For sure.
years. And then I just really want to do a Pride night. It has not worked out for me the past few years. And I really want to go to one because it just looks like the most fun, happy, amazing event.
I have to agree. I think those would be my top picks this year as well. The 90s night has some really great offerings. I think all the different musical like entertainment setups are going to be really awesome. Every year I love looking at the photos from Pride Night because people go all out with their outfits. Like they're meticulously planning those outfits and they are just so on point, and like I want in on that. That is just so much fun. I know we went to Sweethearts Night of last year. Dang, that feels so, with a big group of girlfriends, and we did like most of us dressed in like Valentine's Day type of things, and even that was really fun to see people, and especially couples dressing up in like matchies or Disney couple outfits. It was so cute. I just love what people come up with when they're going to these. Okay, so after that side note, the staples of each event comes with live music at various places throughout the theme park. So like throughout, I know certain ones will have like line dancing, and they'll have like a DJ, and they'll have different things. And sometimes they'll have dancing and with characters. Then they also have meet and greets. They have photo backdrops and specialty dining options, sometimes sit down dining, and sometimes like specialty food at quick services. And then, of course, low wait times on attractions. So even though I am not a night owl and can't even stay out late for the life of me, I did have some favorites from Sweethearts Night. Did you have any favorites that you want to mention from that? Because I already mentioned like the outfits, big on the themed outfits. I love it. And then I'll share some more of mine if we don't like pick the same ones.
No, I think my favorite was the dance party. Yes, dancing at that dance party was so much fun. It was a blast. Definitely seeing some of the characters that aren't normally out. This is where you get some rare characters that come out, and I loved that. It was great. But I think just being there with friends, having a park that isn't as busy, it's so much fun. And that's the real thing. You're going to make some great memories with your group at these things.
Yeah, for sure. I would say like if you can bring a big group, and you don't necessarily have to stay together the whole time, like we all split up and then we kind of ran into each other organically through the night, or we said like, let's meet up at this place and grab a snack, or let's do this. And it was just fun to like bump into people throughout the night. One of my favorite things was the little parade that they do, the cavalcade. Did we watch the second one? I think we did, because they ran it twice.
Yes, we did.
And it's cool because there's so much going on that you don't have to like camp out for this parade at all. And so we went up right by Town Square, right up by Main Street train station. And we walked up last minute and we got front row, and we got to watch like each princess and their prince walk by. And I loved seeing like Lady Tremaine and the stepsisters. They are like some of my favorite little Disney villains. And it's so like fun, but also low key, that as they're like going by in their carriage, like we're having a full on conversation with them. And they're so fun to have banter with. I loved that part. I also really, really like, because I am a huge sucker for Valentine's Day. Like I got out my Valentine's Day stuff yesterday, and when we're recording this, it's the beginning of January, because 14 days is not long enough. So I love the projections because they put special projections on Main Street and the castle and sometimes other places in the park for different After Dark events. So the whole castle was decked out in like hearts and pink and reds. And I was just like in heaven. Do you remember those?
I do. It was great. It's so cute.
So cute. It was so, so cute. Like, if they could just have that for the entire month of February, I would just love that. Or maybe I'll get those and like put them on my house.
There you go.
Also, dance party. Have to throw this back to the dance party. So they do dance parties throughout the year over in Tomorrowland Terrace. If you guys get a chance to go to those, especially if you have little ones, it's so fun. And I just have to shout out a cast member right now and to tell you how amazing some Disney cast members are. So we were there over the holidays, and there was a little girl who had special needs and couldn't stand for long periods of time. So she was sitting right behind the railing at the Tomorrowland Galactic Grill. And so she basically had a first row viewing of the dance floor and the stage. But if anyone were standing in front, she couldn't see. And none of us really knew, right, what was going on. But anytime anyone stood in front of her and kind of blocked her view, this one cast member who was part of that entertainment and production would kindly ask the people, could you please scoot over and keep this pathway clear so that she can see? She's not able to stand for long periods of time, and we want her to be able to participate in this. And she had to tell people that probably 100 times. And it was the sweetest thing because she was not, it was just kind every time she said it. And then I got to look back and see this little girl enjoy the Disney performance, and nobody was bothered. Like, it didn't matter. Like, it was just a thing where you scoot over 2 feet. It just really made my night. And I know it has nothing to do with like After Dark, but it could, because kids are also welcome into these After Dark events. And if you need a special accommodation and you see that it might be handled in some way, you can ask somebody and they might be able to help you, because that really just made me so happy.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have to go on.
Go ahead.
Unless
Yes.
you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, so I want to talk a little bit about Star Wars night, because people probably noticed there were quite a few. I can't remember if you said exactly how many.
I think 8.
There's 8 of those, and they're in April and May. So Star Wars night is during Seasons of the Force at Disneyland, which a lot of people love. But it's a little, I feel it's different than the other After Dark events. Do you?
How so? Is it just like a different fandom?
It's a different fandom. Yeah. Like,
Okay. Are you part of the Star Wars fandom?
I'm a casual Star Wars fan. So no, I won't go to Star Wars night.
Oh, do you hear that, you guys? No, I have absolutely no room to talk, because I am a default Star Wars fan. That means when Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was being built, I was Googling all sorts of terms, and my most favorite thing was like, how do you spell Padawan? Like, I was just like, it's a completely different thing. So yes, Star Wars night is a completely different thing. They are so well attended, and they bring some of the most dedicated, loyal fans ever. And I think that is what is cool about it, because this is next level fandom. Like, if Disney had never bought Lucasfilms, and you're thinking about 2 separate things, and you're thinking about Disney adults and Star Wars adults, these separate entities, which still can be separate entities, are like some of the biggest fandoms in the world. The most loyal, the most dedicated, the most, like, they know their stuff. They know everything. They know it from childhood. Like, I know certain things from my kids because my husband taught them. I know that when my daughter was little and she told me Queen Amadonna, I didn't know that that was wrong, but I sure think it's cute that she pronounced it that way. I really love it, but now we know that that is not the correct pronunciation, but you know who I'm talking about, Star Wars fans. So Star Wars nights are different from Season of the Force, but they happen during Season of the Force. So if you're a casual Star Wars fan, you still get all that Star Wars fun. But Star Wars night is elevated.
Yes.
Well, it happened one
Yes.
time when we were at the Millennium Falcon during a non-sanctioned Disney event.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
And I don't know if these have come back since the reopening, but they
Happened
had
during
almost
Star Wars night.
Yeah, they happened during Star Wars night, but people dress up, but they have their lightsabers and they do a march to the Millennium Falcon and they pose for pictures and they like put them based on colors, or they'll do all these different cool things with them. And we just happened to be there one night when this was happening. One year, it was not during a Star Wars night, because it used to be something that people would do every Saturday night or something like that.
Mhm.
And it was really cool to watch, even as a casual
For
Star
sure.
Wars fan. And so they have that. Another thing they do is they have a cavalcade of costumes that you can do as an attendee. So
Right.
that's pretty cool. Lots of Star Wars merch, lots of characters that you never see in the park from other Star Wars stories like Clone Wars, or things that weren't as mainstream. Like, they're becoming more mainstream now that we have Disney Plus and more shows coming out and stuff like that. But you get a lot more characters than you would normally see. And it is the one After Dark event where it is promised that Galaxy's Edge will be open.
Good point. Good point. And if you are more well-versed in Star Wars and you want to talk about Star Wars with us on the podcast sometime, let us know. Especially if you're attending or have attended a Star Wars After Dark event, we can have you on for an interview and you can tell us all about it. And do you remember one time we were walking through downtown Disney when a Star Wars After Dark event was happening and we saw someone dressed in costume? But they kind of were confused. And we were cracking up because they were wearing Star Trek. It was
and you know they did it on purpose.
I know, yes. It was so great. We were just cracking up. It was great. People have such a good time. And that's also one of the things during these After Dark events, you can wear costumes. So Good to note. After Dark events, there have been other ones throughout the past few years. They've had throwback nights, they've had superheroes, they've had Pixar, and various decades. Is there anything else you think Disney should consider that you might want to see in future years? I'm trying to think if there's something
I hope
that
they bring back Disney Channel night, because that was cool. I didn't get to go. I ended up having to not go at the end, but it looked amazing. And then I was thinking about this, and I'm sure I could come up with a million of them, but I was thinking it might be fun to do something like a classic Disney night, where it's just the classic movies that and featured mostly in Fantasyland, but have more like of those characters out and about, and options for that. But other than that, I mean, I think we get a great lineup. I would like to see them reimagine a Christmas one. Like, the Christmas one flopped at Disneyland. We had it 1 year and it didn't come back. And I feel like it wasn't unique enough. There wasn't enough that was special. So I'd really like to see maybe them rethink how they could do a Christmas one differently, because I loved going to the Christmas ones at Walt Disney World. So
yeah, I think that's the spot. It's interesting because we have so much holiday stuff. I don't want them to take away the holiday stuff that's offered to the general audience, but that first Merriest Nights was a flop. but I think with some adjustments, it could be done better. And ever since they've had it, which they only had it once, every year I get people asking me, are they going to have Merriest Nights this year? So there are people that are still interested in it and people that hope for it. So there is a market there. We'll see. We'll see what we get, but we're excited to see how they play out this year. And we're excited to hear about it. So let us know if you're attending any of those After Dark events this year, and we'll see you real soon at Disneyland.